Welcome to the Word Podcast. The Lord God has given us His Word. Let us learn it. Let us live it. Let us rejoice in it. Spread the Word.
Blessings, everyone. This is Dale. Thank you so much for joining with me today on the Word Podcast. Probably going to be a little bit shorter than normal. Excuse me. As you can tell, I am froggy of throat. I feel okay, but it's just sort of that voice kind of thing. But I did want to touch base with us. We're in the 12th chapter of John. And remember what happened in the previous episodes. There were some believing Greeks that had approached Andrew and Philip. And really Philip. Then Philip went to Andrew because they wanted to see Jesus. Jesus' response was somewhat unusual because he said, the hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. He takes the answer far beyond a yes or a no. I mean, we really don't know what happened with these folks. We don't know if they're there when he says this, which I'm sort of inclined to think maybe they were, but we simply don't know. And he talks about how a grain of wheat will fall into the earth and die, but when it does, it'll bear much fruit. And he said that he who loves his life loses it. He who hates his life in this world will keep it to life eternal. And so Jesus in verse 28 lifted up his voice and he says, Father, glorify your name. Because he was revealing really to the people the struggle he was saying. He said, my soul has been troubled. But what can I say? You saved me from this hour? No, this is why I came. So Father, glorify your name. And when he said that, a voice came out of heaven. And the voice said, I have both glorified it and will glorify it again. Now, that's sort of interesting. What does that word glory mean? It's out of the Greek word doxa. It means to give honor, to give praise, to recognize, esteem the name. Okay, the name is reflective of the individual themselves, their character, their personality. And he's saying, I'm glorifying your name. I am glorifying it now, and I will again. Well, the crowd responded, this is crazy. Some thought it was thunder. Some thought an angel was speaking. Well, Jesus clarified it. He said, no. Here's what he says in verse 30. Jesus answered and said, this voice has not come for my sake, but for your sake. Jesus didn't need the audible voice of God as affirmation that God was there, that God was with him. But the Lord did speak forth audibly to where the people would know. Then Jesus continued, verse 31. Now, judgment is upon this world. Now the ruler of this world will be cast out. So he's saying judgment has come upon the world. Well, when's this judgment going to take place? Is it judgment now? Well, because of what Jesus is about to do, it's initiating judgment. If you believe, you will be saved. If you don't believe, you will not be saved. The judgment has not been carried out yet, okay? It hasn't been carried out yet. But we're under judgment depending upon how we receive him. So he says the ruler of this world will be cast out. Well, who's the ruler of the world? Well, it's Satan. He's going to be cast out of where? Is he cast out of the world? Well, not right at the moment. Is this when he's cast out of heaven and thrown down from heaven? Maybe, but probably not. No. But he's saying that the ruler will be cast out of this world. It hasn't occurred yet. Verse 32, Jesus still speaking. And I, if I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all men to myself. And then John gives us interpretation, understanding of it in verse 33. But he was saying this to indicate the kind of death by which he was to die. And Jesus talks about this in the 3rd chapter with Nicodemus, about him being lifted up, literally upon a standard, up on a pole. He says the same thing here. If I be lifted up from the earth, I'm going to draw all men to myself. And so many things right here which would just have been so abhorrent to the religionist Jew, the idea of being lifted up, excuse me, the idea of dying in that manner, the idea of drawing all men to himself, not just the Jewish men, but all mankind. And so Jesus was letting them know what was about to happen. So literally over these next few days, as they are seeing this, as they are observing this, and then as they reflect upon it in the days afterwards, particularly after they find out that he's risen from the dead, they will know that he has told them, as John said right here, that he's indicated to them the kind of death that he was to die. Jesus knew what was going on. He told his disciples They believed to some degree, but they couldn't believe some of the things he was saying, which would eventually come to fruition. Sounds a lot like us, doesn't it? Well, again, I'm Dale. Thank you for being with me, and I'll see you next time.